I'm a former commander of the 148th Fighter Group, 179 Fighter Squadron, and Chief of Staff, Minnesota Air National Guard. I retired on 26 August 1984 on my 60th birthday. Of course, I'm a native. I grew up in Duluth and went to Denfeld. And then I enlisted in September of 42, and I didn't get called up till January of 43. Then I went to pilot training. Then I got out after the war. And then I came back home. The war was over. I 55 mission, 20 years old, and I couldn't vote yet. I'd never owned a car, but I did have my own 51. Well, then I learned of I intended to come back to Duluth anyhow, but I learned of a guard op starting up back here. So I flew home one day in a Mustang, parked across the field, and I'd landed in France in better looking bases than what we had across the field in 47, 48. And first guy up knowing was John Head, and says, "How you do?" And we've been friends ever since. And then they had moved from the WP shacks on the civilian side of the field over to our side, and we had a plywood city, or shack city, I guess you'd call it, all PWA shacks, maintenance, and ops. In ops, we kept the records and had a pot-bellied stove that would blow up in the middle of the winter and get our Form 5s full of soot, and we'd fly in the snow. And but the good old days, yeah. Everybody knew how to shovel real well. We didn't have much snow removal equipment, but then along came the building. The hangar went up first. However, the Mustangs were still out in the snow. They finally got the roof on the hangar, got the hangar done, got ops done, supply. We built up a pretty good outfit. Then we got activated during the Korean thing. 21 months, I think about 25% of the airmen and 40% of the officers wound up going overseas during Korea. The rest of us, we stayed here. And I wound up going to all-weather school with Al Amatuzio, and we got to fly the 94V, then come back and fly the Mustang again. So lo and behold, a couple of years later, we wind up with F-94Bs on our ramp, and it turned out to be a pretty good bird for us. Good shooter, yeah. In fact, we won the 54-94 all-weather gunnery meet, flying the 94B as a fighter. Next year we won it again, and the third year we won it again, yeah. We had the 94C, built up our back seaters, and then we got, of all things, the F-89J, the vacuum cleaner, the Scorpion. It had originally had 102 folding fin early rockets on it. It had twin engines, weighed a ton. In a 94C, you'd plug in a burner and bang, it was like getting kicked in the tail. In the 89, kind of went when you cut in both burners. And one of our Wizzos, Charlie Nelson, coined the phrase, well, he said, when you plug in a burner, he said, it's just like a barge leaving a dock. So it wasn't much of a thrill. But it was a good bird in that it had two engines and nuke capable. You know, the first Air Force fighter to carry nuke bombs. And then lo and behold, goodbye 89s, we ferried them all out, and up comes a 102, which was really a thrill to fly. It was a fighter. You strapped it on. You know, you got in a nice small cockpit, big behind, but you felt like you're in a fighter, and it flew like a fighter. The only trouble is you are now the Wizzo, and you're now the pilot, and you're now the navigator, and you're the shooter, and you're everything. And we'd been all these years relying on that guy in the back seat to find the target. And so you had to learn that running the radar and flying the airplane and finding the target and all that sort of thing. But it was a good bird. We had it 4.5 years, didn't wrinkle a tip. And then with 30 days notice, they flew in a bunch of 101 Voodoos from K.I. Sawyer. So all of a sudden, we're back in two-seat business. It's the only airplane I ever flew that It had a stick limiter, and when you pulled as max G's on it, it would shake. It would say, "No, you can't have any more," and it would shake at you. So you knew you were about to pitch up, and it had a misgiving of the pitch up, and that when you pull it too tight, the airflow over the tail end would get disrupted, and the bird would snap and go like that. And if you didn't have 10,000 feet below you, you had to jump out. But it was very capable. And then 1976, in the middle of January, went out on the ramp and greeted some RF-4Cs that had come from all the way from Europe. But the Phantom was a great airplane. It was brute force air-to-air refueling. We'd never done that, and I'd often wondered what's it like to air-to-air refuel. And then it put us in the weeds too. You know, for how many years have I been telling guys no buzzing, and now we're down in the weeds at 500 feet, roaring at 400 knots, and noise complaints from the people up in the roots. I can remember one phone call. The guy said, "I was over, my neighbor's having coffee." He said, "He's deaf," and he said, "One of your guys came over and he said his eyes got this big." The guy couldn't hear him, but it scared him. Then my tour in the Guard came to end in '79. Then I went state staff till '84, and they asked me if I missed flying. I started out in the P-40 and wound up in the F-4. I only miss it if I see them or if I hear them. I'm glad I don't live too close to the airport. I miss you guys, and I miss the outfit very much.